Good afternoon. I'm JoNel Newman from the University of Miami, and I'm here to talk to you about our clinical students' self-assessment pre- and post-clinic of 16 core lawyer competencies, as well as their understanding of professionalism. We used a quantitative study, and we began with 16 learning goals we've always evaluated our students on. This time we asked them to assess themselves pre- and post-clinic. With regard to client interviewing, people moved to competent or highly competent. Our second goal, factual development, moves largely from uncertainty to competence. All of these studies were anonymous. They were blindly done on a computer. We don't even know who they were, and they knew that when they took them. Maintaining client files is both an important lawyering skill, but it was also necessary in our clinic where we have such high turnover. Again, we see a movement to competence. With case theory and case planning, we see another move from uncertainty to competence in our students' self-assessment of their abilities. We also see that communication skills don't change quite as dramatically, but again, by the end of the clinical experience, our students are feeling competent at the minimum in communicating and advocating effectively. The research self-assessment, students are definitely, again, leaving the clinic feeling as though they are better at legal research and thoroughness. Reflection, as every clinician knows, is a mantra we repeat over and over again, consistent with adult learning theory. And by the end of their clinic experience, all of our students felt at least competent at this important habit. Being an effective problem solver, another important competency for a lawyer, also developed according to our students during their clinical experience. The next one I find very interesting. No one seems to want to say going into the clinic that they have an ethical problem, so even though everything is anonymous and blind. So we don't really see a whole lot except a little movement into everybody's competent by the end. Organization, management, and triaging of cases, again, in a busy clinic like ours, is one of the most important things our students learn to do. And everyone felt mostly competent to do it by the end of their experience. Another important lawyering characteristic is diligence and punctuality. I like this slide because it reflects a much higher assessment by the students than I would probably have graded them on both pre and post, but that's just me, perhaps. Very few students didn't think they had integrity or honesty going in, and so we don't see very much movement here. With several of these next slides, including this one with respect for judges, lawyers, and staff, as well as the next one, which has to do with having sensitivity to race and cultural issues, we saw that students largely self-reported they were just fine coming in and just fine going out. It's still important in our view to keep asking and assessing those issues, because it communicates to students just how important these critical issues are. And so we keep asking and assessing no matter what. The same thing is true with regard to teamwork, something we emphasize over and over. Everybody's a team player, coming in and going out, that's fine. We just want to remind it, drive it down every time we're asking them how they're doing as a lawyer. This one, on the other hand, is one of the most important understandings we convey in the clinic, And we do that through immersion over and over again in trying to represent people who are indigent in our society and legal system. And it's clear to us that the students got the message. They really got a different understanding. Now moving to the general professionalism questions. Our students were much happier about being lawyers after they left the clinic. They also were more interested in public service, which I found somewhat surprising. Another important thing that we convey is that students began to internalize the idea that they're a professional and not just a business person. They don't necessarily know what that means coming in, but after they've done it, they get it. And lastly, even though it's a little self-serving, our students said by the time they left, it was the most important course they'd taken in law school. Thank you.